Discuss about the medical management of the gouty arthritis. So to begin with, the gout is a hereditary condition which is a condition of the disturbed uric acid metabolism. So we have a pathway in our body. In this pathway, the purines are converted into uric acid. So any disturbance in this pathway lead to the uric acid accumulation in the joints. So it is characterized by acute attacks of the gouty arthritis with interval periods in between, and late stages of the deforming arthritis, nephritis, urinary calculi and cardiovascular lesion. So as we have focused our video on the medical management, so we have 3 points in the medical management. We have a diet, we have drugs and the various treatment protocols. So first is the diet. So diet is the very important component of our management. So because the purines, they are a component of the proteins. So we should limit various things in the diet. So to begin with, we have the alcohol, especially the beer. So alcohol, beer, sugar drinks, red meat and the organ meat, seafood and high fat dairy products. So they should be limited in the diet of a gouty arthritic patient. So then the patient will ask what are the safe things which he can take, and patient should always take a plenty of water. Fruits and vegetables, they are safe. Low fat dairy, which is the yogurt and the skimmed milk, is safe to take. Nuts and legumes and the eggs, so these all things are safe and they should be taken in excess amount. So such a chart should be available in our OPD so that we can forward it to the patient, and patient should be clear what all things he can eat and eat more. Low fat dairy, legumes, nuts, and what to eat less. Shellfish, organ meat, alcohol beverages and the soft drinks. So talking about the acute attack, so we have divided our management in the acute attack, then interval period, then asymptomatic hyperuricemia. So firstly the acute attack. So when a patient of hyperuricemia precipitate acute attack, there should be some reason of the precipitation of the acute attack. So any intake of the purine rich food or alcohol and certain drugs, so they can all precipitate an acute attack of gout. So what we will be doing in the management of the acute attack, firstly we will go for the immobilization of the joint and providing the rest to the limb in which the joint involved is having the acute attack. Then we will go for the application of the moist packs, and very importantly we will start the various medication. So we have the 3 group of medication. We have the NSAIDs, we have the colchicine and we have the steroids, which are the used in the acute management of the acute attack. So it is very important to note that if the patient is not on uric acid lowering therapy already at the time of attack, then it is not the time to initiate the therapy. So if the patient is having gouty arthritic attack and already patient is not on any uric acid lowering therapy, then we will not go for initiation of this therapy. But if the patient is on already uric acid lowering therapy at the time of acute attack, then that uric acid lowering therapy should not be discontinued. So this means that we will not intervene into the uric acid lowering therapy. If the patient is not on therapy, we will not start the therapy at that time. If the patient is on therapy, we will continue therapy. So coming about to the various drugs that are used to manage the acute attack. So first is the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So we have the various NSAIDs, ibuprofen in various doses, indomethacin, diclofenac, naproxen and the various COX-2 inhibitors. So these all drugs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, they can be started. Now, if the patient is taking any of the drug in full anti-inflammatory dose, the patient may get relief in 5 to 8 days. So treatment should be discontinued after that. But this is only possible if the patient is taking in the full anti-inflammatory dose. Second drug to be used in the acute attack is the colchicine. So it is available in, we can either use in high dose or we can use in a lower dose. So higher dose, which is 1.2 mg followed by 0.6 mg every 6 hours for 6 doses. So this is basically indicated for the acute attack, but this therapy is very poorly tolerated because of its GI side effects like diarrhea. So we do not give this therapy. If we are considering to go for the colchicine therapy, we go for the lower dose therapy, which is 0.6 mg 8 hourly, which is a better tolerated, and it can be used in combination with the NSAIDs. Intravenous colchicine is also available, but it has very serious side effects and toxicity, and that's why used in the oral therapy also. It is used in oral formulation only. So in colchicine we are using 0.6 mg 8 hourly in combination with the NSAIDs. Third category of drugs is for the acute attack is the corticosteroids. So in patients in which NSAIDs cannot be used, corticosteroids can be used. So corticosteroids can either be given as an injection intraarticular into a particular joint experiencing the acute attack, or if the number of joints are more than one, we can use systemically in the oral formulation. So intraarticular steroids can only be used if it is a single or two joint involvement, while in more than two joint involvement we go for the oral corticosteroids, which are used in 30 to 40 mg daily and then taper down in the coming days. So we have basically three category of the drugs. We have the corticosteroids, we have colchicine, and we have the NSAIDs. So these three drugs can be used in the acute attack. But what are the protocols to manage the drugs and how we will manage the patient in our OPD or emergency? So once we have confirmed that it is an acute attack, we will check if there is a contraindication to the NSAIDs. So we have the various contraindications such as hepatic dysfunction, age is a contraindication, renal failure is a contraindication, cardiac failure, hepatic failure. So if the patient is not having these contraindication, we can start with the NSAID therapy. But if the patient is having contraindication to these therapy and more than one joint is involved, or more than one joint is not involved, one joint is involved. If the one joint is involved, we will go for the intraarticular injection if the joint is accessible to the injection. If the joint is not accessible to the injection and the patient is having contraindication to the steroid also, so we can go for the intraarticular steroid, we can go for the oral steroid, and if the patient is having contraindication to the steroid, we can go for the oral colchicine. So basically for the treatment, first line is the NSAID therapy. If the patient is having contraindication to the NSAID therapy, then second is the steroid therapy. So if the joint is accessible to the injection, we will go for the intraarticular injection. If the joint is not accessible, we will go for the oral therapy. And third line is the colchicine, which is the last line if the patient is having contraindication to both NSAIDs and the steroids. Then we will go for the oral colchicine therapy. But it should be noted that this should be always supplemented with the immobilization of the joint, resting of the limb, and the moist pack application. So this is another American College of Rheumatology guidelines. So this emphasis on the same point that we have the three options. We have a colchicine, prednisolone, and anti-inflammatory. So in all those cases where anti-inflammatories, NSAIDs cannot be used, we will shift for the prednisolone. In on those cases where prednisolone is also cannot be used, we will shift to the colchicine. And we will continue till the attack resolves completely. The anti-inflammatory, they can be given in the maximum dose, and for the steroid we will taper down. Initially 5 to 10 days we will give the full dose, then taper down subsequently. And for the colchicine, we have discussed the dose is the 0.6 mg QID or BD. So this is about the acute attack, which we have discussed the management. So once we have managed the patient in the acute attack, the patient entered into the interval period. So interval period is the basically period between the two acute attack. So in this acute attack management, we have basically addressed for the inflammation. So they are all anti-inflammatory. NSAIDs, steroids and colchicine, they all act upon the inflammation. They do not act upon the uric acid metabolism. So uric acid lowering therapy is not started in the acute phase, it is started in the interval phase. So in this phase we will go for the uric acid lowering agent. So these uric acid lowering agent, they will reduce the frequency of gout attacks, and they will reduce the tophi formation, and further they will diminish the risk of joint destruction. So besides, in the interval period we will encourage the patient to make the lifestyle changes such as limiting the alcohol intake, encouraging weight loss, and decreasing the food rich in purines, which we have already discussed, the gout and the gout diet. So what all drugs, uric acid lowering drugs we have to be used in the interval period? So we have discussed that diet is very important in the interval period, and second is the drugs. So first drug to be discussed is the allopurinol. So it is a xanthine oxidase inhibitor, which is the last step of the uric acid metabolism. In this step uric acid is formed at the last. So it is a very tolerated drug, it is inexpensive, and it is one of the most commonly used uric acid lowering agent. So it can be started in a low dose as low as 100 mg, and then it can be titrated by addition of 100 mg every 10 to 14 days to maximum of 800 mg per day. So we will aim our uric acid level to 4 to 5 mg per deciliter. So every time the patient present to us taking allopurinol in OPD, we will go for blood test, liver test, and the renal function test. So they should be regularly monitored while the patient is on allopurinol therapy. So, but it should be noted that while in the interval phase we are starting with the uric acid lowering therapy, there is a risk of the precipitating a gout flare. So patient may go into the acute attack when we are starting the uric acid lowering therapy. So in those cases, a prophylaxis of all the medications, steroid, colchicine and NSAIDs, they should be started along with the uric acid lowering therapy up to 6 months of the starting the allopurinol. So in the interval phase, we will start with a therapy of uric acid lowering drug, plus we will add on the prophylactic medicines. Most commonly we go for the colchicine and the NSAIDs in this case. So it is important to note that whenever starting a uric acid lowering treatment, there is a risk of precipitating a gout flare. So it can be avoided if we are co-administration of the prophylactic medications. And these prophylactic medications, they need to be taken for about 6 months of starting allopurinol. So allopurinol is basically a xanthine oxidase inhibitor. It prevents the production of the uric acid. It is used both in patients with increased synthesis of uric acid and also with decreased clearance from the kidney. There is no need to monitor for the uric acid excretion in the urine. It can be safely used in renal failure patient, and rarely it can be associated with bone marrow suppression, hepatotoxicity and some of the hypersensitivity reaction. So after allopurinol we have another drug which is probenecid. So probenecid is basically a uricosuric drug. So it increases the excretion of the uric acid. So it may be given to the patient with decreased clearance of the uric acid by the kidney and the normal renal function. So the patient is having normal renal function, but still patient is having decreased clearance of the uric acid by the kidney. So in these cases, this uricosuric drug probenecid can be used. Starting dose is 500 mg to 1000 mg daily, and it can be increased to the 1500 mg and 200 mg if needed. So it is a uricosuric drug. It decreases the reabsorption of uric acid at the proximal renal tubules. So patient need to have a normal renal function, and patient should have a reabsorption issue. So basically it neither acts upon the synthesis it decreases synthesis, nor it act upon anything to cause the excretion of the uric acid increasing. It increases the excretion of uric acid by decreasing the resorption of the uric acid. So it is useful in only those patients with decreased renal clearance of the uric acid. So patient should have a normal renal function to start this uricosuric therapy. And also we need to examine the patient if the patient is having problem with the uric acid excretion. If the uric acid in the 24-hour urine is reduced, in those cases uricosuric drug can be used. But it has a risk of increasing the renal stone, uric acid stone in the kidneys, and that is why we need to give a good oral hydration while giving the uricosuric drug. Third important drug is the febuxostat. So febuxostat is also a xanthine oxidase inhibitor similar to allopurinol. It is a new drug, it is a non-purine and a selective xanthine oxidase inhibitor. So it works by blocking the active site on the enzyme, which is a molybdenum pterin center, and it acts non-competitively. So this is the mechanism of action of the febuxostat. So it is recommended only in those patients who cannot tolerate allopurinol, because they have both are the xanthine oxidase inhibitors. So it can be given in a doses of 40 mg or 60 mg. So there is a dose dependent decrease in the serum uric acid depending what dose we are giving to the patient. It can also be used in mild to moderate renal impairment. It is safe to use in renal failure, but it is a bit contraindicated in a heart disease patient. A newer drug of 2010 is the pegloticase, which is a uricase enzyme. So it is only reserved for those patients who have failed the conventional therapy of the allopurinol, uricosuric drug or febuxostat. So uricase is an enzyme which basically converts the poorly soluble urate or uric acid into a more soluble compound, allantoin, which can be easily excreted from the urine. So it is given in intravenous infusion every 2 weeks. So it increases the excretion of the uric acid by converting it to a more soluble compound, allantoin. So now coming to the protocols to approach the patient. So once we have an acute attack, we treat the patient, we educate the patient, and we have the 3 drug, NSAID, colchicine and corticosteroid to administer for the patient. Now after that we will again assess the lifestyle factors of the patient. What is the diet of the patient, what is exercise protocol, alcohol intake and sugar intake. So basically we will manage the diet of the patient. Then we will assess the other comorbidities of obesity, hypertension, lipids and diabetes mellitus if any. We will perform the renal function of the patient and serum uric acid level. So in all patients we will educate the patient, we will optimize the weight of the patient, reduce the alcohol intake, modify the diet as we have discussed. If the patient is having diuretic, so where possible we will discontinue the diuretic because it can precipitate an acute attack, and we will go for the treatment of the if any cardiovascular risk factor. And finally we will discuss the treatment protocol, uric acid lowering treatment with the patient. So then we will start the uric acid lowering treatment. So first line, as we know that we will start with the allopurinol in a low dose, about 50 to 100 mg daily. Then we will increase every 4 weeks depending upon how much serum uric acid has decreased. And maximum dose we have discussed that it is 800 or 900 mg daily. Also we know that we need to give a prophylaxis for the acute attack, which can be a NSAID or it can be a colchicine. And we know that if we have already started the allopurinol and patient experiences acute attack, we will not go for the stoppage of the allopurinol. Now some of the conditions that if we are not able to achieve our target serum uric acid level despite increasing the allopurinol dose, then we can switch to the febuxostat, or we can consider the addition of the uricosuric drug depending upon the renal function. So we have the probenecid and the sulfenpyrazone, which are the uricosuric drug which we can consider. And the second flow here is if the patient is not able to tolerate the allopurinol or renal function prevents the sufficient dose escalation. So here patient was able to tolerate the allopurinol, but the target was not achieved. Here patient is not able to tolerate the allopurinol itself. In those cases also we will go for the febuxostat, and we can increase the dose of the febuxostat if the target is not achieved at 4 weeks. If the patient is not able to tolerate febuxostat or the target is not achieved with the febuxostat also, then we can go for the uricosuric therapy, which is the probenecid and the sulfasalazine. So finally, if the patient once the target is achieved by the addition of 3 drugs, allopurinol, febuxostat and finally the uricosuric drugs, target is achieved and the clinical cure is achieved, which is tophi has been reduced and the attacks, there are no longer acute attacks. So then we will try to maintain the uric acid lowering all the treatment we have started. We will maintain it is at a dose, maintenance dose, and we will check the uric acid annually to check whether the target is still maintained or not. And the uric acid treatment has to be continued lifelong in maintenance dose, unless if the patient is having modifiable risk factor which are fully addressed. So this was the detailed of the management of the acute attack and the interval period. Now this is another simplified version that patient present to us with gout. If it is acute attack, we apply cold pack, we go for the NSAID. NSAIDs are contraindicated, we go for the steroids or colchicine. So in the prophylaxis of acute attack, we go for the colchicine. If the colchicine is contraindicated, we can go for the NSAIDs. So we have the 2 options here, and we have 3 options of NSAID, colchicine and the steroid here. So last thing to discuss is the asymptomatic hyperuricemia. So that is, patient is having hyperuricemia but patient is asymptomatic, that is there is no joint pain, no acute attack. So this is normal in patient 5% of the males over the age of 30 years, and 1/5 of these may eventually develop a gouty arthritis. So for a mild to moderate hyperuricemia, we need no prophylactic therapy. Only periodic examination, dietary restriction, weight loss therapy is appropriate. But if the hyperuricemia is severe, which is 9 to 10 mg per deciliter, or the patient is having hyperuricosuria 1 gram in 24 hours, in those cases we can go for the preventive therapy. So any patient which present to us and we go for the basic investigation for the uric acid and comes out to be hyperuricemia, unless and until it is 9 to 10, we need not to go for any therapy. Only the examination, dietary and the weight reduction is the therapy for the mild to moderate hyperuricemia. So that was about the medical management of the hyperuricemia.